Cardinale. Entertainment all day. Click, dive deep. Color on the screen runs free. Tropical fins, bright reef. Whole ocean.
I'm Alex Cardinale, and I personally would like to welcome you to this presentation of the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy this special live stream right here on A.C.E.
Several murder cases often occur in several parts of the world. It is very difficult to reveal this case. An investigation needs to be carried out by the police. The investigation will be carried out by police officers. The evidence will be analyzed by a team from the forensic laboratory. And the results of the examination from the forensic laboratory will be given to detectives to be developed into information. The results of the analysis will be used to create an investigation report anatomic of crime. The report will be adjusted according to witness statements and indicative evidence.
Unlock the mysteries with Detective Alex Cardinale. Hey fellow detectives and crime junkies, welcome to On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale. Get ready to dive into a world of crime and mystery. Join Detective Cardinale as he explores crimes of all kinds, from rapes and murders to robberies and more. Ever wonder what crimes took place 10 to 20 years ago? What can we learn from these past enigmas? Tune in right now to find out. Why watch? Engaging analysis. Detective Cardinale brings his expert insights and captivating storytelling to unravel some of the most perplexing cases. Educational insights. Learn about investigative techniques and the intricacies of solving crimes. Historical perspective. Discover how past crimes have shaped current law enforcement practices. Remember, keeping our communities safe starts with you. If you see something suspicious, don't hesitate to report it by calling 911. Remember, if you see something, say something. Let's welcome our host from Port St. Lucie, Florida, Detective Alex Cardinale, as he takes you on a thrilling journey into the heart of the criminal world. Don't miss out on this captivating experience. Tune in now and be part of the adventure.
Hello, crime junkies! Welcome to On the Case. I'm your host, Detective Alex Cardinale, and welcome to Part 2 of Deadliest Crimes in New York City. Tonight on the Case, we're going to take a look at some more deadly crimes that hit New York City. Learn about the son of Sam, David Berkowitz. Learn about the Wall Street bombing. Learn about a high-level bank robbery. And learn about the murder of Malcolm X. All that and more live right here on this episode of On the Case with me, Detective Alex Cardinale. If you have any questions, please feel free to share your questions in the comments or share your thoughts in the comments. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start with a recap from Part 1. Did you miss Part 1? Well, you can watch Part 1 of Deadliest Crimes in New York City by going to my On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale playlist. But here is a quick recap of what we talked about on Episode 1 of Deadliest Crimes in New York City. We talked about a Wendy's massacre from the year 2000 during a robbery in Flushing, Queens, New York. 5 employees were executed and 2 others were seriously injured. We talk about Paul Castanello, 1985. The Gambino crime family boss was assassinated in front of Sparks Steakhouse in Midtown, New York. An execution orchestrated by John Gotti to seize control of the family. We talked about the murder of John Lennon from 1980. The former Beatle was gunned down outside his home, the Dakota. We talked about the mafia cops. The term mafia cops primarily refers to Louis Ippolito and Stephen Carcappa, two highly decorated New York Police Department detectives who secretly served as hitmen and informants for the Lucchesi crime family during the 1980s and early 1990s. Their case is widely considered the most violent betrayal of the badge in New York City history. Louis Ippolito was raised in a mafia family. His father and uncle were Gambino capos. He claimed to have rejected the family business to join the New York Police Department in 1969. He was a flamboyant detective who even had minor acting roles in films like Goodfellas. Stephen Carpacca, a quieter, more under-the-radar partner who helped establish New York Police Department's organized crime homicide unit. This position gave him access to sensitive intelligence on mob investigations. And finally, on episode 1, we talked about the case of Shirley Fontanez and Fred Maselli. The Shirley Fontanez murder-suicide occurred on July 23rd, 2007 in the Bronx, New York. Shirley Fontanez, an 18-year-old mother, was fatally shot by her boyfriend, 40-year-old off-duty New York Police Department officer Frederick Maselli, who then turned the weapon on himself. Police discovered the bodies in Maselli's Riverdale apartment after he failed to report for duty at the 34th precinct. Fontanez had been shot 5 times, 3 times in the stomach and twice in the head, with Maselli's 9mm service weapon. Then Fred Maselli took the gun on himself and committed suicide. The couple had been dating since Fontanez was 16. Family and friends reported a history of domestic abuse, claiming Maselli was jealous, possessive, and had previously threatened to kill her if she left him. Investigators suspected Maselli was involving Fontanez in a check cashing scam. Fontanez had recently been fired and arrested for cashing thousands of dollars in stolen checks provided by Maselli, and friends claim he killed her because she was going to tell on him. And those are all the crimes that we talked about on part 1 of Deadliest Crimes in New York City. And now it is time to talk about tonight's crimes, the deadliest crimes in New York City. And we're going to start with one of the most infamous crimes in New York City, the son of Sam, David Berkowitz. Let's go ahead and start talking about David Berkowitz, aka the son of Sam. David Berkowitz, infamously known as the son of Sam, or the .44 caliber killer, is one of the most notorious serial killers in New York City history. Between July 1976 and July 1977, he embarked on a random shooting spree that left 6 people dead and 7 wounded across the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens, New York. The killing spree, 1976 to 1977. David Berkowitz primarily targeted young women with long, dark hair and couples sitting in parked cars at night. He used a .44 caliber Charter Arms Bulldog revolver in nearly all his attacks. Psychological terror. He taunted the police and the media by leaving handwritten letters at crime scenes and mailing notes to New York Daily News columnist Jim Breslin. The Son of Sam persona. In these letters, he claimed he was being commanded to kill by a 6,000-year-old demon named Harvey that spoke through his neighbor Sam Carr's black Labrador retriever. The 13-month manhunt orchestrated by the New York Police Department's Omega Task Force ended on August 10th, 1977. The undoing. Berkowitz was caught because of a simple parking ticket issued near his final crime scene in Brooklyn. Investigators tracked the ticket to his yellow Buick Skylark and arrested him outside his home in Yonkers. Legal outcome. He pleaded guilty to 6 counts of second-degree murder and received 6 consecutive 25 years to life sentences, effectively 365 years in prison. Life in prison and legacy. Confession hoax. David Berkowitz later admitted that the demonic dog story was a complete ruse intended to help him plead insanity. Son of Hope. In 1987, he claimed to become a born-again Christian. He now refers to himself as the Son of Hope and works as a chaplain's clerk at the Shawana Correctional Facility in upstate New York. Son of Sam laws. His case prompted the creation of the first Son of Sam laws, which prevent criminals from profiting financially from the publicity of their crimes. Example, through book deals or movies. Current status. Now in his 70s, Son of Sam David Berkowitz has been eligible for parole every 2 years since 2002, but he's been denied a dozen times, most recently in May of 2024. His next hearing is scheduled for this year, 2026. And that is the case of the Son of Sam serial killer, David Berkowitz. And right now we're going to talk about the Brooklyn Sniper. This is a very interesting crime case from New York. Now, the term Brooklyn Sniper is most commonly associated with Roberto Eddie Setta, a serial killer who operated in New York City from 1990 to 1993. He is also widely known as the New York Zodiac Killer because he patterned his crimes after the original Zodiac Killer of Northern California. Crimes and modus operandi. Setta targeted his victims based on their astrological signs, claiming his goal was to kill one person for each of the 12 signs of the zodiac. The spree. Between 1990 and 1993, he fatally shot 3 people and wounded 6 others in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. Zip guns. He used homemade improvised firearms known as zip guns, which lacked the rifling marks of standard guns, making the bullets difficult for forensic teams to trace. Taunting authorities. Much like his namesake, he sent coded letters to the police and media, specifically the New York Post, that included cryptic symbols and threats. After evading capture for years, Setta was eventually caught due to an unrelated domestic dispute. The arrest. On June 18, 1996, Setta shot his half-sister during an argument in their Brooklyn home. This led to an hours-long standoff with the New York Police Department. The clue. While given his written statement at the precinct, Setta signed it with the same unique zodiac cross symbol found in the serial killer's letters. Detective Sergeant Joseph Herbert recognized the handwriting and subsequent fingerprinting confirmed the match. Sentencing. In 1998, Seta was convicted and sentenced to 232 years in prison. He is currently serving his life sentence at the Clinton Correctional Facility in Damanora, New York. And that is the Brooklyn serial killer, Herberta Seta. Now we're going to talk about a crime that you don't really hear too much of, a crime that you haven't heard a lot of on the case with me, Detective Alex Cardinale. So this will be a first for me, the first time that I talk about a criminal who stole money. Let's talk about Bernie Madoff, another deadly crime in New York City. Bernie Madoff targeted those who were rich and stole millions of dollars from them in a Ponzi scheme. This will be the first time that we talk about a Ponzi scheme. All right, so Bernie Madoff, 1938 to 2021, was an American financier who masterminded the largest Ponzi scheme in history, defrauding thousands of investors of an estimated $65 billion. Once a highly respected Wall Street titan, he served as the chairman of the NASDAQ Stock Exchange before his crimes were exposed during the 2008 financial crisis. The Ponzi scheme. Modus fraud operated under the guise of a secretive investment advisory business, separate from his legitimate brokerage firm. How it worked. Instead of investing his client's money, Madoff deposited it into a single bank account and used funds from new investors to pay returns to earlier ones. Fabricated returns. He provided investors with elaborate, completely fake account statements showing consistent annual gains of 10 to 20%, even when the market was down. Exclusivity and trust. Madoff used his high status to lure an exclusive clientele, including celebrities like Steven Spielberg and Kevin Bacon, major charities like Elie Wiesel Foundation, and large international banks. Collapse and legal consequences. The unraveling. The scheme collapsed when the global economic downturn prompted too many investors to withdraw their funds at once. Madoff did not have the cash to cover the $7 billion in redemption request. On December 10th, 2008, Madoff confessed the fraud to his sons, Mark and Andrew, who immediately reported to federal authorities. In 2009, Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 felony counts, including securities fraud and money laundering. He received a 150-year prison sentence, the maximum allowed by law. Victim recovery. As of late 2024, the Madoff Victim Fund has distributed more than $4.3 billion to over 400,000 victims, covering approximately 94% of their actual losses. Madoff's crimes led to the destruction of his family. His son Mark committed suicide in 2010, and his son Andrew died of cancer in 2014. Bernie Madoff died of natural causes, chronic kidney disease, at age 82 on April 14, 2021, while serving his sentence in a North Carolina federal prison. And that is the case of Bernie Madoff, the money launderer who took billions of dollars from investors. All right, let's check the comments because I see we have a couple of live comments, and then we'll get back to our next deadliest crime. So Fish Fam says, hey there, Fish Fam. Hey, Fish Fam, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. And we've got my good friend. We have Jeff in the house. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Oh, what's going on here? Oh, shoot. All right, Jeff says, hey, legendary Alex C. I don't like the Dirty Mountain Dew. Oh, that's too bad. It's really good, though. All right, let's move on now to our next deadliest crime in New York City. And now we are going to talk about the Gilgo Beach Murders. This is actually an infamous crime from New York City. So let's talk about the Gilgo Beach Murders. Now, the Gilgo Beach Murders, also known as the Long Island serial killings, were a series of homicides occurring between 1993 and 2011, primarily involving women working as escorts whose remains were discovered along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. The case remained unsolved for over a decade until Rex Heuermann, a Manhattan architect, was arrested in July of 2023. On April 8th, 2026, Heuermann pleaded guilty to the murders of 7 women and admitted responsibility for an 8th death. The victims. The investigation originally centered on the Gilgo 4, discovered in 2010, but eventually expanded to 11 sets of remains found in the area. The Gilgo 4, Maureen Bernard Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello. Other victims admitted by Heuermann: Valerie Mack, Jessica Taylor, Sandra Costilla, and Karen Vergata. Shannon Gilbert. Her 2010 disappearance sparked the original search. However, the medical examiner officially lists her death as an accidental drowning, a finding still disputed by her family and some forensic experts. Breakthrough. Investigators identified Heuermann in 2022 by matching his first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche to witness descriptions from 2010. Authorities used discarded pizza crust from a Manhattan trash can and bottles from Heuermann's home to match his DNA and his wife's hair to forensic samples found on the victims' bodies. Heuermann allegedly used burner phones to contact victims and conducted hundreds of searches for sadistic materials and information about the Gilgo Beach Task Force. On April 8, 2026, Heuermann pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder and 4 counts of second-degree murder. He also confessed to killing Karen Vergata in 1996 as part of a plea deal to avoid further charges. He is scheduled to be sentenced on June 17, 2026. Under the plea agreement, he is expected to serve 3 consecutive life sentences without parole, followed by 4 sentences of 25 years to life. As part of his plea, Heuermann agreed to cooperate with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit to help investigators understand his motivations and potentially solve other cold cases. And that is the Gilgo Beach Murders. Well, we're going to take a quick programming break really quick. Coming up next here on The Case with Detective Alex Cardinale, we're going to continue talking about some of the deadliest crimes in New York City. Coming up next, learn about the Lufthansa heist, which was a bank robbery. We're also going to learn about the Midtown Manhattan shooting and the Wall Street bombing and much more. That is coming up next right after this quick programming announcement. All right, tomorrow on an all-new episode of Turning Point, learn about the deadliest airplane crashes in United States history. Learn about the airplane crashes of September 11th in the World Trade Center, in the Pentagon, and in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Plus, learn about other deadly airplane crashes. That's tomorrow on an all-new episode of Turning Point with Alex Cardinale, where we focus on America's greatest tragedies. Now, I, Alex Cardinale, the host and owner of Alex Cardinale Entertainment, I am proud to announce the inaugural Amazonian Week. Amazonian Week kicks off on Monday, June 22nd, and concludes on Sunday, June 28th, right here on Alex Cardinale Entertainment. Learn everything about the Amazon rainforest. Learn about the animals that live there. Learn about the people that live there. Learn about crimes that are committed there, and more. Here is more information on Amazonian Week. And when we come back, we'll dive right back into Deadliest Crimes in New York City, Part 2. Alex Cardinale here, and it's no secret, I love the Amazon rainforest and the animals that live there. As a matter of fact, 90% of the fish that I keep come from the Amazon River and South America. So, I hereby announce the Alex Cardinale Entertainment is thrilled to announce the inaugural Amazonian Week, a captivating series of live streams and videos dedicated to celebrating and raising awareness about the Amazon rainforest. From Monday, June 22nd to Sunday, June 28th, 2026, join me for an immersive journey into the heart of the world's largest rainforest. I am proud to announce that in June, I will be hosting an entire week of live streams and videos dedicated to the Amazon River in South America. This will be a yearly event to raise awareness for the largest rainforest in the world, the people that live there, and of course, educate about the different animal species that call the Amazon home. Event highlights: Amazonian Saturday with Alex Cardinale. On Saturday, June 27th, 2026, enjoy Amazonian Saturday with Alex Cardinale. This special day will feature interactive content such as 3 rounds of 2 Truths and a Lie centered around the Amazon rainforest and South America. The day's segments will delve into the fascinating world of Amazonian animals, Amazonian fish, and more. Here is the weekly schedule for the very first Amazonian Week. Monday, June 22nd, Aquatic Wetline with Aqua Alex, Amazonian fish. Tuesday, June 23rd, Jaguars with me, Alex Cardinale. Wednesday, June 24th, we'll learn about anacondas. Thursday, June 25th, Detective Alex Cardinale will talk about crimes that took place in the Amazon rainforest and South America. Friday, June 26th, it'll be an episode of Turning Point, and we'll talk about some tragedies that took place in the Amazon. And Saturday, June 27th, will be Amazonian Saturday with Alex Cardinale. And it all concludes on Sunday, June 28th, with Dolphins with Alex Cardinale. Don't miss Amazonian Week taking place Monday, June 22nd through Sunday, June 28th, right here on the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel, ACE. Welcome back to On the Case with me, Detective Alex Cardinale. And tonight on the case, we are talking about more deadly crimes from New York City. So let's get right back into it and continue discussing deadly crimes from New York City. And we're going to start with the Lufthansa heist from 1978. The Lufthansa heist was a massive armed robbery at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport on December 11th, 1978. Orchestrated by the associates of the Lucchese crime family, it resulted in the theft of approximately $5.875 million, about $5 million in cash, and $875,000 in jewelry, making it the largest cash robbery in the United States history at the time. The heist gained worldwide fame as the centerpiece of Martin Scorsese's 1990 film Goodfellas. The mastermind, James Jimmy the Gent Burke, an Irish-American associate of the Lachesi family, planned the robbery. The inside man, Louis Werner, a Lufthansa cargo agent with massive gambling debts, provided the security codes and terminal floor plans. Execution. In just 64 minutes, six masked gunmen entered Building 261, took 10 employees hostage, and loaded 72 cartons of untraceable currency into a black Ford Ecoline van. The heist is the most infamous for the violent purge that followed. Fearing informants and wanting to keep a larger share of the loot, Burke allegedly ordered the murders of nearly a dozen people tied to the crime. Parnell Stacks Edwards, the getaway driver who failed to dispose of the van. He was shot to death 1 week after the heist. Martin Krugman, the bookie who connected Werner to Burke. He was murdered and dismembered after demanding his $500,000 cut. Teresa Ferreira, a mistress of one of the crew members whose dismembered torso was found months later. Tommy D. Salmon, a key gunman who was later whacked by the Gamboni crime family in retaliation for the unauthorized murders of two made men. Despite decades of investigation, the stolen money and jewels have never been recovered. Louis Werner was the only person originally convicted and sentenced for the actual robbery. James Burke was never charged with the heist, but died in prison in 1996 while serving time for an unrelated murder and a point-shaving scandal. Vincent Asaro, a reputed Bonino captain, was indicted in 2014 for his alleged role in the heist, but was acquitted by a federal jury in 2015. And that is the Lufthansa heist from 1978, which inspired movies like The Goodfellas. All right, we're going to talk about a more recent crime that took place in New York City just summer of 2025, just last year, and it is known as the Midtown Manhattan shooting. So let's talk about the Midtown Manhattan shooting right now. The Midtown Manhattan shooting on July 28, 2025 was the deadliest gun attack in New York City in 25 years. The incident took place at 345 Park Avenue, a skyscraper housing the headquarters of the National Football League and the investment firm Blackstone. The attack, at approximately 6:28 in the evening, Shane Devon Tamara, a 27-year-old from Las Vegas, entered the building armed with the AR-15 style rifle and wearing body armor. Tamura immediately opened fire in the lobby, fatally shooting an off-duty New York Police Department officer working security. He continued firing, hitting 3 others in the lobby. Elevator era. Investigators believe Tamara intended to target the NFL offices on the 5th floor, but mistakenly took an elevator to the 33rd floor, occupied by Rudin Management. After shooting a woman on the 33rd floor, Tamara turned the gun on himself, dying from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. The shooting claimed the lives of 4 victims, and left one other critically injured. Darrell Islam, 36, an off-duty New York Police Department officer and father of two. He died tragically. Wesley LePatner, 43 years old, he was the CEO of Blackstone Real Estate Income Trust. Rest in peace. Alend Etta, 46, a security guard and father of two. He died tragically. Julia Hyman, 27, an employee at Redmond Management. She tragically passed away. Craig Clementi, an NFL employee who was seriously injured, but he survived. Tamara had driven across the country from Nevada just days before the attack. A note found in his pocket claimed he suffered from CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a brain disease linked to head trauma from contact sports. CTE diagnosis. A subsequent autopsy in September of 2025 confirmed that Tamura had low-stage CTE. NFL grievance. His note expressed anger towards the NFL, accusing the league of covering up the dangers of football. Mental health. Tamura had a documented mental health history, including 2 involuntary psychiatric holds in Nevada in 2022 and 2024. And that is the Midtown Manhattan shootings. Now, when you think of New York and you think of terror attacks, you think of the 9/11 and the World Trade Center. But about 100 years before that, there was an awful crime that happened, an awful terror attack that happened, and that is the Wall Street bombing from 1920. The Wall Street bombing was a terrorist attack that occurred on September 16, 1920, in the heart of New York City's financial district. A horse-drawn wagon packed with dynamite and heavy iron shrapnel exploded in front of the J.P. Morgan and Company building at the corner of Wall and Broad Streets, killing 38 people and injuring hundreds. The attack at approximately 12:01 p.m., as crowds of clerks and brokers headed to lunch, a wagon containing 100 pounds of dynamite and 500 pounds of cast iron window sash weights was detonated by a timer. The blast sent lethal shrapnel through the air, shattering windows for blocks and causing over $2 million in property damage, equivalent to over $32 million today. Most of the deceased were young messengers, clerks, and stenographers. J.P. Morgan Jr. was in Europe at the time, though his son Junius was injured. The crime was never officially solved, and no one was ever charged. Investigators and historians generally believe the bombing was the work of Galenists, a group of Italian anarchists led by Luigi Galeni. Primary suspect, Mario Buda, a skilled bomb maker and Galenist, is widely considered the most likely perpetrator. It is believed he acted in retaliation for the indictment of fellow anarchists Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Venditti. Flyers found nearby from a group calling itself the American Antichrist Fighters demanded the release of political prisoners. The scars. To this day, you can still see the deep pock marks from shrapnel on the limestone facade of 23 Wall Street. J.P. Morgan famously refused to repair them as a gesture of defiance. The bombing spurred a significant expansion of domestic surveillance by the Bureau of Investigation, the precursor to the FBI, under a young J. Edgar Hoover. until the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. It was the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in United States history, and that is the Wall Street bombing. Now let's talk about a deadly arson. And yes, arson is a crime. Let's talk about the Happy Land Social Club arson. The Happy Land Social Club arson was a devastating fire on March 25th, 1990, in the West Farm section of the Bronx that killed 87 people. It was the deadliest fire in New York City since the 1911 Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire and remains one of the most lethal mass murders in the United States history. The motive: Julio Gonzalez, a 35-year-old Cuban refugee, started the fire after an argument with his former girlfriend, Lydia Feliciano, who worked as a coat check girl at the club. After being ejected by a bouncer around 3 o'clock a.m., he threatened to shut this place down. Gonzalez purchased $1 worth of gasoline from a nearby station, poured it into the club's only entrance stairwell, and ignited it. The unlicensed club had no fire alarms, sprinklers, or emergency exits. Because the only exit was engulfed in flames, victims were trapped inside and died primarily from asphyxiation within minutes. Lydia Feliciano was one of the few survivors. Most victims were young members of the local Honduran and Garifuna communities who were celebrating Carnival. The fire left more than 90 children without a parent. That is sad. Gonzalez was convicted of 87 counts each of arson and murder. He was sentenced to 25 years to life for each count served concurrently. He died of a heart attack in prison on September 13, 2016, at age 61. A rose granite Happy Land Memorial stands across from the site at Southern Boulevard and Tremont Avenue. The street outside was renamed the Plaza of the 87. In 2026, a resolution formally recognized March 25th as the Happy Land Day of Remembrance. And that is the Happy Land Social Club arson, a devastating fire that was committed, and 87 people tragically lost their lives. Well, we're going to take our final programming note. Coming up next, learn about the Palm Sunday Massacre. You'll also learn about Kitty Genovese, and in our main event, you'll learn about the murder of Malcolm X. That's coming up next here on The Case with Detective Alex Cardinale. But first, I want to tell you about our flagship program, Saturday with Alex Cardinale. This Saturday on Saturday with Alex Cardinale, we are celebrating Mother's Day and Mother's Weekend. Come join your mother's favorite YouTuber, Alex Cardinale, for an awesome Saturday with Alex Cardinale, live this Saturday, May 9th, 2026, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Don't miss Mother's Saturday with Alex Cardinale, and I, Detective Alex Cardinale, will be part of Mother's Saturday. But also, 2 weeks from this Saturday, we're going to be celebrating 4 years of Saturday with Alex Cardinale in what's going to be the biggest Saturday of 2026. See Aqua Alice get new fish, see the return of Karen's, surprises, and more. May 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on 4th Saturday with Alex Cardinale. Here's more information on our flagship program, and when we come back, we'll talk about the final crimes from New York City.
Celebrate Mother's Saturday with Alex Cardinale. Join us for an unforgettable Mother's Saturday celebration hosted by Alex Cardinale. Tune in on Saturday, May 9th, 2026 at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. It's a night dedicated to honoring all the incredible moms out there, packed with entertainment and fun. Highlights of the show: Animal of the World. Discover fascinating facts about the orangutan. Aqua Alex featured fish. Dive into the world of discus cichlid and Uaru cichlid. Koi and exotic fish. Spotlight on Blackwater Creek Koi Farms and Segrest Farms. Interactive fun. Participate in 3 rounds of 2 Truths and a Lie, featuring topics like Mother's Day, Kit Kat, and Milky Way. Mother's Day Insights. Learn interesting facts about Mother's Day. Mother's Day Topics. Fun activities to do with your mom this weekend. Things to love about your mom. Alex's Top 5 MILF Mothers I'd Like to Feature. Culinary Delights. Chef Alex's Special Mother's Day Recipes. True Crime Segment. Detective Alex explores the chilling tales of killer moms. Sports and Entertainment. Yankees Spotlight. WWE SmackDown Recap. WWE Backlash 2026 Recap. WTF Moments and Weekend Update. Catch the latest buzz and unexpected moments. And much more. Don't miss this special show dedicated to celebrating moms everywhere. Mark your calendars and join us live at youtube.com/Alex Cardinale 2026. Celebrate your mom and make this Mother's Day weekend truly memorable. Live Saturday, May 9th at 10 p.m. ET, 7 p.m. PT.
Get ready for the biggest Saturday with Alex Cardinale of 2026. Join us in celebrating 4 incredible years of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. This special anniversary show is airing live on Saturday, May 23rd, 2026 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time /6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You won't want to miss this spectacular event. What's happening? Karen's return. Relive Saturday with Alex's greatest moments. Aqua Alex gets new fish, Aqua Alex Pond update, surprise cameo appearances, and more exciting surprises. Tune in on Saturday, May 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern /6 p.m. Pacific on the YouTube channel Alex Cardinale Entertainment. Mark your calendars and get ready for an unforgettable night. See you there.
I'm Alex Cardinale. I'm the host and founder of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. And I'm proud to tell you, Saturday with Alex Cardinale is now 4 years old. I started Saturday with Alex Cardinale in 2022. And now, in 2026, we celebrate 4 years of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. And we're going to celebrate 4 years with a very big 4th Saturday with Alex Cardinale, which airs live Saturday, May 23rd, 2026 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And on the 4th Saturday with Alex Cardinale, you can expect plenty of surprises. Will there be surprise cameo appearances? Will there be surprise guests? Tune in to find out. Aqua Alex will get new fish. Aqua Alex will have a pond demonstration. Chef Alex will have some recipe demos. See Chef Alex, Phil Cannolis, and other great recipes. Karen's are back for the 4th anniversary of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. It's the final Segrest Farms featured fish, and a whole lot more. Don't miss 4th Saturday with Alex Cardinale, Saturday, May 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on my YouTube channel, ACE. Welcome back to On the Case with me, Detective Alex Cardinale, and tonight it's part 2 of the deadliest crimes to hit New York City. And we've got 3 more crimes to discuss. And right now we're going to start discussing the Palm Sunday Massacre. The Palm Sunday Massacre was a horrific mass shooting that took place on April 15, 1984, in the East New York section of Brooklyn. It resulted in the deaths of 10 people, 2 women and 8 children, and remained the largest mass shooting in New York City for decades. The attack occurred inside a first-floor apartment at 1080 Liberty Avenue. A still life of death. Responding officers found a gruesome scene where victims were shot at close range while in relaxed poses. One woman was still holding a spoon and a can of pudding. The sole survivor. The only person spared was 13-month-old Christina Rivera, who was found crying and covered in blood among the bodies. She was later adopted by one of the first responding officers, Joanne Chafee. The victims range in age from 3 to 24 years old. One of the women killed, Virginia Perez, was 8 months pregnant at the time of her murder. The perpetrator and motive, Christopher Thomas, a cocaine addict with a history of violent offenses, was arrested for the crime in June of 1984. Motives. Prosecutors argued the motive was jealousy and a drug dispute. Thomas believed the homeowner, Enrique Bermudez, who was not home during the shooting, was having an affair with Thomas's estranged wife. Bermudez also claimed Thomas owed him roughly $9,000 for drugs. In 1985, Thomas was convicted of 10 counts of first-degree manslaughter rather than murder. The jury opted for the lesser charge because they believed his heavy cocaine use and extreme emotional disturbance mitigated his intent. 50-year cap. Although he was sentenced to 83 to 250 years, New York state law at the time capped his sentence at 50 years for crimes committed during a single incident. Due to good behavior credits, Thomas was eligible for release after serving 2/3 of his 50-year cap. He was quietly released from prison in January 2018 at the age of 68, sparking widespread public outrage. And that is the Palm Sunday Massacre. Now we're going to talk about the murder of a young lady by the name of Kitty Genovese. The 1964 murder of Kitty Genovese is one of the most famous crimes in American history, primarily due to the initial reports that dozens of neighbors watched her die and did nothing. While much of that urban legend has since been debunked, her death fundamentally changed American society, leading to the creation of the 911 emergency system and the psychological concept of the bystander effect. The incident, March 13, 1964, at approximately 3:15 a.m., 28-year-old Catherine Kitty Genovese was walking to her apartment in Key Gardens, Queens, New York, after finishing her shift as a bar manager. She was ambushed and stabbed twice in the back by Winston Mosley, a stranger who had followed her home. A neighbor's shout, "Leave the girl alone," initially scared Mosley off. However, 10 minutes later, Mosley returned, found Genovese injured in a back hallway, and proceeded to stab her 12 more times, rape her, and steal $49 from her. Her friend and neighbor, Sophia Farah, eventually found her and held her in her arms, whispering that help was coming until the ambulance arrived. Genovese died en route to the hospital. 2 weeks after the murder, a New York Times article famously claimed that 38 witnesses had watched the attack for over 30 minutes and failed to call the police. Modern investigations have clarified several key points. Fewer witnesses. Far fewer than 38 people actually saw the attack. Most only heard indistinct screams. Police calls. At least 2 people did call the police, but the lack of a centralized system like 911 meant the calls were not prioritized or handled effectively. Witnesses like Sophia Ferrara did physically intervene to help Genovese before she passed away. The difficulty witnesses faced in reaching the police helped catalyze the development of the National 911 system in 1968. The case inspired the study of the bystander effect, or Genovese syndrome, which suggests that individuals are less likely to offer help to a victim when other people are present. Beyond the victim narrative, recent documentaries like The Witness, led by her brother Bill, have sought to reclaim her identity as a vicious, hardworking woman and a member of the LGBTQ+ community. Winston Mosley was arrested 6 days later for a separate burglary and confessed to the murder of Genovese and 2 other women. He was sentenced to death, which was later commuted to life imprisonment. He died in prison in 2016 at the age of 81 years old. And that is the case of Kitty Genovese. And now it is our main event. And now we talk about the murder of Malcolm X, perhaps New York City's most deadliest crime. And a lot of people know about the murder of Malcolm X. The assassination of Malcolm X on February 21st, 1965 is one of the most high-profile and controversial murders in American history. While it was long attributed to a simple internal feud with the Nation of Islam, recent evidence and official exonerations have revealed a much deeper web of government surveillance and potential complicity. The day of the murder, location, the Audubon Ballroom in Washington Heights, Manhattan. The attack, as Malcolm X prepared to address the Organization of the Afro-American Unity, a disturbance broke out in the crowd. As he stepped forward to calm the room, he was shot multiple times, including a fatal shotgun blast to the chest. His pregnant wife, Betty Shabazz, and their 4 daughters were in the front row and witnessed the attack. For over 50 years, 3 men were identified as his killers. However, modern investigations have overturned most of that narrative. Thomas Hagen, arrested at the scene, he confessed to the murder, but always maintained that the other 2 men convicted with him were innocent. He was paroled in 2010. Muhammad Aziz and Kaleem Islam. Both men spent decades in prison for a crime they did not commit. They were officially exonerated in 2021 after an investigation revealed that the FBI and New York Police Department had withheld evidence that would have cleared them. In 2022, the city and state of New York agreed to pay $36 million to settle lawsuits from Aziz and the family of the late Khalid Islam. In November 2024, the family of Malcolm X filed a $100 million civil lawsuit against the FBI, CIA, and New York Police Department. The lawsuit alleges that conspiracy. Government agencies were aware of the assassination plot but intentionally failed to intervene. Authorities purposefully arrested Malcolm X bodyguards days before the event and removed police officers from the ballroom to make the attack easier to carry out. These agencies reportedly worked for decades to fraudulently conceal their roles and suppress evidence that pointed to other suspects. And that is the murder of Malcolm X. And crime junkies and lovers of On the Case, those are all the crimes from New York City. Those are the deadliest crimes from New York City. I had a blast talking about the deadliest crimes from New York City over 2 episodes of On the Case. In just a second, we're going to do a complete recap of some of the crimes we talked about tonight. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Do you want more On the Case? Do you want to see me discover more crime cases? Go to youtube.com/@AlexCardinale2026 and go to the On the Case playlist and check out our other crime cases. Check out part 1 of Deadliest New York Crimes and the other crime cases I discussed. All right, so before we end today's episode, let's do a quick recap of some of the crimes that were covered here on part 2 of Deadliest New York City Crimes. David Berkowitz, infamously known as the Son of Sam, or the .44 caliber killer, is one of the most infamous and notorious serial killers in New York City history. Between July 1976 and July 1977, he embarked on a random shooting spree that left 6 people dead and 7 wounded across the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens. Herberto Eddie Seta, a serial killer who operated in New York City from 1990 to 1993. He is also widely known as the New York Zodiac Killer because he patterned his crimes after the original Zodiac Killer of Northern California. Seta targeted his victims based on their astrological signs, claiming his goal was to kill 1 person for each of the 12 signs of the Zodiac. Between 1990 and 1993, he fatally shot 3 people and wounded 6 others in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. Bernie Madoff was an American financier who masterminded the largest Ponzi scheme in history, defrauding thousands of investors an estimated $65 billion. Once a highly respected Wall Street titan, he served as the chairman of the Nasdaq Stock Exchange before his crimes were exposed during the 2008 financial crisis. The Wall Street bombing was a terrorist attack that occurred on September 16, 1920, in the heart of New York City's financial district. A horse-drawn wagon packed with dynamite and heavy iron shrapnel exploded in front of the J.P. Morgan & Co. building at the corner of Wall and Broad Streets, killing 38 people and injuring hundreds. The assassination of Malcolm X on February 21st, 1965 is one of the most high-profile and controversial murders in American history. Location: the Audubon Ballroom in Washington Heights, Manhattan. Malcolm X prepared to address the Organization of Afro-American Unity. A disturbance broke out in the crowd. As he stepped forward to calm the room, he was shot multiple times, including a fatal shotgun blast to the chest. And that is this episode of On the Case. It was an honor and a privilege to take a look at some of the deadliest crimes in New York City. On our next episode of On the Case, we're going to go to another big city in the country of United States of America. I want to remind all of my amazing viewers that I, Detective Alex Cardinale, will be on Mother's Saturday with Alex Cardinale. This Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Catch me, Detective Alex Cardinale, on Mother's Saturday as I talk about killer mothers, moms who killed. Find out about Moms Who Killed this Saturday on Saturday with Alex Cardinale. That will be a fun time for me to be part of our flagship program. All right. And on our next episode of On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale, we're going to head to Boston. And we're going to learn about the deadliest crimes from Boston. Learn about the Boston Strangler. Learn about the Roxbury murders, the Chinatown Massacre, the Brinks bank robbery, and the case of Charles Stewart, a man who murdered his wife and blamed it on a black assailant. All that and more on our next episode of On the Case. Learn about crimes from Boston, Massachusetts. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this episode of On the Case. Stay safe, everyone. Remember, if you see something, say something. Never be afraid to call 911. Thank you for watching, and good night from Port St. Lucie. I, Alex Cardinale, would like to say thank you for watching this live stream on the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. I personally hope you enjoyed the live stream and the video. If you did enjoy the live stream, please smash that like button and please share this video on social media so that your friends and family can enjoy it as well. If you are a first-time viewer or new to my YouTube channel, I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button and ding the notification bell for notifications when I go live next or when I upload a video. I highly recommend subscribing so you're a member of the ACE community. Thank you for watching ACE.